I arrived home on Thursday evening, just as the sun was beginning its slow descent. My shoulder throbbed from the weight of my laptop tote, a familiar ache that had become as much a part of my routine as the terrible cafeteria coffee I hadn't finished. The porch light was already on, a beacon of a peculiar calm that instantly put me on edge. Liam never remembered to flip the switch. It was always my job, a tiny, insignificant battle I'd fought for years. My gut tightened, a cold premonition settling in. The moment I opened the front door, the silence was deafening. No frantic barking from our golden retriever Max. Just the low murmur of voices and the delicate, almost theatrical clink of porcelain being set on coasters. In the living room, a sight greeted me that was both entirely expected and profoundly shocking. Eleanor, my mother-in-law, sat on our couch with the regal confidence of a queen on her throne. She wore her signature beige cardigan, a flimsy layer of armor that somehow made her appear more formidable, her legs tucked neatly to the side. She cradled one of my favorite mugs, the one with the hand-painted poppy, as if it had always belonged to her. Next to her, Liam stood with his arms crossed, his gaze flitting everywhere but to me. "Anya," Eleanor purred, her head tilting slowly. Before I could even ask what was going on, Liam spoke. "The house is mine now. It's all taken care of." Eleanor's lips curved into a thin, triumphant smile, the kind of smile you'd give someone just before you deliver a final blow. I just stared, blinking, the words refusing to form. "I'm sorry, what?" Liam's voice was low but firm. "We made a decision. You wouldn't let Mom move in, you fought it for years, so I made it happen." The air was thick with their deception. "You made what happen?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Eleanor took a slow, deliberate sip from my mug. "The paperwork's handled," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Liam said the house is mine, so there's no reason for you to be here anymore." My gaze flickered from her to Liam, who didn't deny it. "You can't just tell someone a house is theirs, Liam. That's not how it works." He shrugged, a casual gesture that belied the cruelty of his actions. "You've always acted like this house was yours alone. Now it's not. Fair's fair." The tremble started in my hands, but I took a deep breath, fighting for control. "I've paid the mortgage every single month for 17 years, I said, my voice steadying. $2,300, without missing a single payment. "You've never touched it," he snapped back, his voice rising in defense. "I paid for everything else, utilities, food, lawn care. I kept the household running." I let out a sharp, dry laugh. "You paid for lawn care once because your mother shamed you about the weeds, and you grocery shopped exactly 3 times last year, and only because I was working overtime during tax season. It was a lie built on a foundation of laziness, and I saw right through it." "That's not the point," he insisted. "You made Mom feel unwelcome. This house was always supposed to be shared with her after Dad passed. You knew that." "No, you decided that," I corrected. "I never agreed. She's family," he said, his voice cold. "So am I," I replied, my heart aching. Or at least, I thought I was. Eleanor set my mug down with a gentle clink. "Look, Anya, let's not turn this into a big thing. Just start packing. You can stay with a friend. You're independent, right?" I stared at her, mesmerized by her sheer audacity. She lifted an eyebrow, a flicker of genuine confidence in her eyes. "Liam promised me I'd be taken care of. Honestly, you should be grateful we didn't just change the locks." My rage, which had been a quiet simmer, began to boil. This wasn't grief. It was pure, righteous anger. "This house has always been mine," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Liam rolled his eyes. "You think just because you paid the mortgage it gives you all the power?" "Yes," I said. "That's literally how it works." He took a step toward me, his face contorted in frustration. "You refused to compromise for years. You acted like everything was yours. Your job, your space, your money." His words were a mirror of his own insecurities, a reflection of the emotional labor he'd never performed. "Because I was the only one contributing anything consistently," I shot back. He raised his voice. "I gave you my life. I gave you time, Anya. Energy. Support." I scoffed. "You gave me dirty laundry, condescension, and a mother who never liked me." Eleanor let out a disdainful sound. "Maybe if you were a bit more warm." I looked her dead in the eye. "You mean obedient." Liam turned away, rubbing his temples. "You're making this ugly." I straightened my shoulders, a newfound resolve solidifying my posture. "No," I said. "I'm making it clear. You think I'm just going to roll over because you say so?" Eleanor stood from the couch, her face a mask of false sympathy. You can't stop it, Anya, it's already in motion. I smiled, a tight, cold expression devoid of humor. Then let it roll, I said. But I won't be here to cushion the crash. Without another word, I walked up the stairs, each step a deliberate, echoing countdown. The rage that had filled me was now a cool, sharp clarity. In the bedroom, I pulled out my old travel suitcase, the one I hadn't used in years. There were no tears, no dramatic outbursts. Just the quiet, methodical folding of a few days' worth of clothes. I packed my toiletries, my laptop, my phone charger. I left everything else. The jewelry he'd never bought me. The decor I'd carefully curated. The quilt my grandmother had made. Let them live with the weight of it. When I came back downstairs, Liam was standing near the door, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Eleanor, ever the opportunist, was already rearranging the throw pillows, staking her claim on the living room. "You're really going?" Liam asked, his voice softening, a last-ditch attempt to manipulate. I looked him in the eye, my gaze unwavering. "You sure you want me to?" His jaw flexed, and he looked away. "You're the one leaving." "No," I said. "You kicked me out." He looked down at the floor. "This will be better in the long run." "For who?" He didn't answer. I reached for the door handle. "I have one question," I said, my voice low. "Did you ever read the mortgage agreement?" He looked confused. "What does that have to do with anything?" I smiled, a knowing, chilling grin. "Exactly." As I walked out the door, Eleanor called after me. "Don't take anything that doesn't belong to you." I paused just long enough to reply. "Don't worry," I said. "I'm only taking what's mine." The double meaning was lost on her. That night I checked into a modest hotel downtown. The room was nothing special, a queen bed with a lumpy mattress, cheap curtains, and a water-stained ceiling, but it was clean and, most importantly, quiet. I ordered takeout and sat on the edge of the bed in silence. Then, I reached into the back of my work tote and pulled out a folder I'd been keeping for over a year. Inside were every single mortgage statement, the closing documents, and my tax records, all bearing one name, mine. I had seen this coming. The resentment, Eleanor's creeping presence, the little remarks that became expectations. The day Liam refused to co-sign the mortgage, claiming the debt gave him panic attacks, I made a decision. I'd shoulder the debt, but I'd also own everything it built. I took out my phone, found Ben's number, and hit record. "Hey Ben, it's Anya, I need your help. It's about the house. I've been patient long enough." I sent the message and turned off the lamp. For the first time in 17 years, I slept without checking my account balance or bracing for a new demand. I slept like someone who had all the leverage and none of the guilt. The next morning, I woke up in the hotel before my alarm, a sense of peace settling over me. No headache, no tension in my chest, and, most importantly, no Liam. For the first time in years, I didn't have to brace for the day. I sat in bed for a few minutes, staring at the water stains on the ceiling, and allowed myself to just breathe. It was a simple, profound freedom. Then, I got up, got dressed, and took my folder of documents down to the little hotel cafe. Black coffee, a quiet corner, and a plan. At 8:02 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Ben. "Let's talk this morning, come by the office." I smiled. Ben Concade and I had gone to high school together. He used to cheat off me in AP history and called me Ruthless Ruby, a nickname I'd come to appreciate when I was the only one who corrected a teacher's tax math on a quiz. Now, he ran one of the largest real estate brokerages in the county. I walked into his office building 20 minutes later, my folder tucked securely under my arm. The receptionist recognized me and waved me right in. Ben stood when I entered, the same messy brown hair and slightly crooked smile, but now in a tailored jacket with a professional weight behind his handshake. "Anya Hastings." He grinned. "Been a long time." "Too long," I replied, sliding into the seat across from him. His eyes fell to the folder in my lap. "Let me guess. House drama." I opened it and spread out a few key documents. The title deed, the original mortgage agreement, and a schedule of payments from my bank account, with my name on every single one. "My soon-to-be ex-husband is telling people he transferred the house to his mother," I said calmly. Ben didn't even blink. "Is she an owner?" "No, she never was. Liam refused to co-sign the mortgage when we bought it, said debt gave him panic attacks." "Classic," I said, a dry bitterness in my tone. "But he told Eleanor the house is hers now. He and his mother tried to kick me out." Ben tilted his head, a professional curiosity in his eyes. "And you just walked away?" "I wanted to give them room to hang themselves with the rope they think they pulled from under me," I said. He nodded slowly, clearly impressed by my cold-blooded strategy. "So, what's the plan?" "I want to sell the house, quickly, legally, and I want to make sure they're served properly." Ben's grin widened. You want the sale to be the message? Exactly, I said. He opened a drawer and pulled out a folder of listing forms. Let's make it loud and clear. Back at the hotel, I extended my stay another week. I didn't need long. Everything was in place. All I had to do was wait. That Sunday, as I ate breakfast on the hotel balcony, I got a call from a blocked number. I didn't answer. A minute later, my phone vibrated with a voicemail. Liam's voice was frantic. Anya, what the hell is going on? There's a real estate agent at the door saying the house is under contract. He says it's already listed. You can't do that. We live here. I didn't bother replying. That same evening, he called again and again. Then Eleanor texted in all caps, "You can't sell this house. We have rights." The irony was delicious. I forwarded everything to my attorney. By Tuesday, Ben's agent had dropped off formal notices at the house. Liam tried to threaten legal action. My lawyer responded with a scanned PDF of the deed, clearly showing my name only, along with 17 years' worth of bank statements and a polite request. Vacate the premises, or we will file for formal eviction as part of the pending divorce. That shut Liam up for a full 24 hours. Predictably, he called again. This time, I answered. Anya, please, he said, his voice low and pleading. You don't have to do this. I already did, I replied. I just haven't told you everything yet. He fell silent for a moment. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'll see you Sunday, 10 a.m. I'm coming to the house. He hesitated. Why? To return what's yours, I said. And what's that? Your consequences. Sunday morning was cloudy, still, and heavy. I arrived at 9:59 a.m. with 2 copies of everything. The sale contract, the title deed, the printouts of payment schedules, and a new, thick sheaf of receipts for every major home maintenance cost they had always claimed to have paid for, but I actually had. The door opened before I could even knock. Liam stood in the hallway in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Behind him, Eleanor sat in the armchair by the fireplace, her arms folded tightly, a mug of coffee trembling in her lap. What is this? She barked as I stepped inside. I told you, I said calmly. I'm here to clear things up. I placed the stack of documents on the dining table and pulled out a highlighted copy of the title. Let's start with this. This says I am the sole owner of the house. Liam looked down at the document, his face paling. But I thought. You thought wrong. I cut in. You refused to co-sign the mortgage 17 years ago because you didn't want to be tied down. So, I took it all on myself. And every payment, $2,300 a month, came from my account. Eleanor stood now, her voice rising in outrage. That doesn't give you the right to sell it. It gives me exactly that right, I replied. She pointed a trembling finger at me. You ungrateful. After all we've done for you. You mean all I've done for you? I turned to her. I paid for the new furnace when it broke in 2016. I paid for your late husband's funeral. I paid for Liam's car when his credit was shot. I paid the property taxes, the landscaping, the roofing, the plumbing, the fire alarm upgrade, and... Oh right, everything else you took for granted. Liam slumped into a chair, his face a mask of disbelief. You're bluffing. You had a desk job. No way you could afford all that. That desk job got me promoted, I said, my voice hardening. You think I've just been a receptionist for 17 years? I'm a licensed CPA. I've run financial audits for firms that would chew you up and spit you out for fun. I make more than both of you combined. I could see them both deflate, Eleanor with disbelief, Liam with shame. I reached into my bag again and laid one last envelope on the table. What's that? Eleanor snapped. I opened it and slid out a printed photo. Liam, arm around a woman half my age. Another image. Them kissing behind a parked car. Another, leaving a hotel. Liam's jaw dropped. You hired someone. I planned ahead, I said. The day you started asking me to hand over financial control of our accounts, I knew something was wrong. I can explain, he started. No need, I said. My lawyer has all of this. Divorce papers will be delivered by the end of the week. And yes, I will be pursuing alimony. You gave me 17 years of emotional labor. Now, I'll be billing you for it. Eleanor tried to speak, but I cut her off. And just so we're clear, after the house sells, I'll be deducting every unpaid expense you two left me with before splitting the rest as required, which, spoiler alert, won't be much. You should probably start looking for an apartment. You heartless. She started, but Liam just buried his face in his hands. I stood and looked around the room one last time. You kicked me out of my own house, I said softly. Now, I'm returning the favor. I walked out before they could say another word. That night, back in my hotel room, I called Ben. "It's done," I said. "How'd they take it?" he asked. "Like amateurs," I replied, a tired smile on my face. "We'll close fast," he said. "You'll have cash in hand within a month." Perfect. For the first time since I signed that mortgage nearly 2 decades ago, I felt like this house and this life were finally mine to leave. 2 weeks after the showdown at the house, the sale officially closed. Ben called to confirm the wire transfer while I sat at a sunny cafe with my laptop open. The amount was more than I expected, even after taxes and legal fees. I closed the laptop, sipped my coffee, and allowed myself a rare unfiltered smile. The house was gone. Sold legally, cleanly, and every cent had come through me. I hadn't returned since that last confrontation. I didn't need to. My lawyer coordinated the closing and the handoff of the keys. A moving company retrieved the few remaining items I wanted. Everything else, I left behind on purpose. A silent offering to Liam and Eleanor. A reminder. The day after the sale, Liam texted me. "You didn't have to humiliate us like this." I didn't respond. What was there to say? He humiliated himself the moment he conspired with his mother to force me out of a house I built financially, emotionally, brick by brick. I'd paid for the foundation, the fixtures, the roof repairs. He'd paid for frozen pizzas and resentment. I found out through a mutual acquaintance that they moved into a rundown rental on the edge of town, a third-floor walk-up with a broken intercom. Eleanor had to sell most of her antique furniture to cover the deposit. Liam's car was repossessed a week after the sale closed. He'd also started applying to jobs again. Apparently, no one wanted to hire a mid-42nd man with a string of short-term roles, a spotty credit history, and a reputation for blaming everyone else. And as for the affair, he tried to make it work with the girl from the photos, but she ghosted him after learning he no longer had a house, a car, or a bank account that wasn't being garnished for alimony. Meanwhile, I didn't buy a new house. Not yet. I found a furnished condo near the marina. It was smaller than the old place, but quiet, full of light, and entirely my own. No one told me how to arrange the furniture. No one criticized how I made pasta or folded the laundry. I watered the plants when I felt like it. I worked late and ordered sushi when I didn't feel like cooking, and no one asked why. For a while I did nothing. No big changes, no dramatic career moves. I just breathed. I went to work, I came home, and I slept through the night. It was strange at first, having nothing to manage, nothing to defend. But gradually, the quiet stopped feeling eerie. It felt earned. One Saturday, I ran into Ben again at a networking event. He was standing near the bar chatting with a few clients when he spotted me and waved me over. "Anya," he grinned. "Hey, I want you to meet someone." I almost declined. I wasn't looking to date. I was still emotionally untangling 17 years of strategic silence, but something in his face made me pause. The man he introduced me to was tall, a little sun-weathered, wearing a shirt that wasn't designer, but fit like it had been tailored. His name was Ethan. He was a project manager for a renewable energy startup, just returned from 3 years in Copenhagen. We talked, nothing heavy, travel, bad airline coffee, favorite dive restaurants. When he found out I worked in finance, he didn't joke about taxes or ask me to look at his QuickBooks. He asked what I liked most about it. "No one expects me to smile while I'm doing it," I said. He laughed. "That's how I feel about budgeting." And just like that, it didn't feel like a setup anymore. Later that night, I got another message from Liam. This one wasn't angry. "I'm sorry. I messed up. I should have listened. I should have appreciated you. I didn't realize how much you carried." This time, I did respond. Just one line. "You didn't realize because you never tried." I deleted the thread after that, not out of spite, but out of peace. Weeks passed. My old life faded into something distant and grainy, like an out-of-focus photograph. Every now and then, I'd remember a specific moment, Eleanor criticizing how I arranged towels, Liam making passive digs about my job title, and I'd smile, not from bitterness but from the clarity of it all. There was never going to be a point where they stopped taking. Not until I took myself out of reach. Now, I was unreachable. One evening, I met Ethan again at a local bookstore. We walked out with iced coffees and sat on a bench overlooking the water. Boats drifted in the distance. Couples passed by with dogs and paper bags from local shops. He turned to me and asked, "What's the one thing you wish more people knew about you?" It was such an honest question I had to stop and think. "That I don't forgive easily," I said. "But when I do, I never forget what happened. I just stop needing to carry it." He nodded. "Is that the same thing as closure?" "No," I said. "It's better." That night, I went home and opened the drawer where I kept the last folder. The documents, the photos, the notes I'd once planned to use in court but never needed. I flipped through them one more time, then fed them into my paper shredder sheet by sheet. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I no longer needed proof. I knew what I'd survived, and more importantly, I knew who I'd become.